Welcome back. Welcome back, beautiful people. I appreciate you being here today. Today, we are going to be continuing my Dark Feminine series. In my previous videos, I have introduced you to the Dark Feminine. I've taught you who the Dark Feminine really is. I have shared with you some of the common misconceptions around the Dark Feminine or Dark Femininity. And I've also given you ways of creating safety within yourself in order to fully embody the Dark Feminine. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you some examples of how the Dark Feminine shows up in your everyday life, or how you can embody the Dark Feminine in your everyday life. Some changes that you can make in your behavior so that you can... That was my heater cutting off. Giving you some examples so that you can anchor into the Dark Feminine energy within your day-to-day life. So let's just get right into it. One of the most important and powerful ways that you can embody the Dark Feminine energy is learning how to say no. Learning how to say no. In the work that I do with women, this is such a struggle because so many women are conditioned to overgive, to be people pleasers. They call themselves empaths, which really just means you have no boundaries, you have poor spiritual hygiene, you think that other people's needs take precedence over your own. And a lot of women are really disconnected from their body's wisdom, their womb wisdom, that teaches them what is right for them and what is not right for them, and also listening to the wisdom of their body. I have a video about your womb being the seat of your wisdom. Go back and listen to that, as well as the Dark Feminine series if you're not familiar with that concept, because I go fully in depth in that video, and I will link it here so that you can easily find it. So learning how to say no is probably the most important thing that you can do to anchor into your Dark Feminine energy, because the Dark Feminine, as I explain in my other videos, she is very contained, strong, powerful boundaries, strong sense of who she is, what her mission is, clarity around her mission and her soul's purpose. And the Dark Feminine says no to anything that is not in service to her soul's mission. She says no to anything that is not in service to her highest and best good. And when you don't know how to say no, when you don't understand your boundaries, this is how you end up in circumstances where you are overgiving, where you're leaning into people-pleasing behaviors, where saying no feels like a life or death experience for you because you are so disconnected from your body's wisdom that saying no feels like you would rather die. You would rather die than say no and experience the pushback or the consequences that come from honoring your no. But the only way that you're going to be able to really anchor into and embody dark femininity, that dark feminine primordial frequency, that powerful sovereign woman, is to know how to say no. There's really everything else that I say after this really won't make any difference if you don't understand how to say no. And so learning where your no lives in your body, knowing what the sensations are in your body, or whether you're having an auditory response to the recognition of the no within your system, is going to be super, super important. I talk about human design and how in human design you have your authority, your inner authority, which is where your intuition lives in your body. A lot of people, most people in the world, 70% are generators and will have a defined sacral. And so their sacral response will be a uh-huh or And then your authority, of course, after that, which might be sacral or it might be something else, will determine how you listen to that sacral response that you have. Watch my video on Intro to Human Design if you want to get more information about that. But that's just one example that I can give. But every single one of you has an inner compass. You have a response, a physiological response in your body when something is incorrect for you. And if this is something that you don't feel familiar with, or you're confused about what that might be for you, all you have to do is just sit back and think about previous experiences that you've had where you felt like something was off and you went against your intuition. In my Selfish Bitch initiation that we're currently moving through right now, one of the women in the class was talking about, dating a guy and how, how this relationship basically didn't work out, and she was heartbroken and all of these things. And I know from working with her that she is a generator. And so I said to her, when was the first time you had a sacral response that said no? And she told me that it was about 3 months into them dating. And I said, no, girl, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way you went 3 months of getting to know this person, and that was the very first time you heard a no in your body. And she sat for a second, she paused, and she went back, and she was just like, actually, it was on it was either their first or second date. He had said something, and she had that no in her body. But like a lot of women, they ignore that, because if you are someone who's looking outside of yourself for validation, if you are still very male-centered or male-identified, you are going to override your body's wisdom in order to have the thing that you think you want in that moment, which unfortunately for most women, they realize after the fact that I was actually being protected from this really tragic and painful experience that I went through, but because I did not listen, I ended up having to learn the hard way. So embodying, understanding, honoring, respecting, and prioritizing your no is the foundation of embodying dark feminine energy. The next thing is leaving situations that don't feel correct for you, leaving when the energy is off. And this kind of ties into what I was just saying a moment ago, and all of these examples that I'm going to be giving you in this video are going to overlap. There's going to be a lot of overlap between these things, but leaving when the energy is off is extremely important. And it's difficult for you to leave when the energy is off if you don't understand what your no feels like in your body, which is why, again, your no is the most important thing of embodying dark feminine energy. But leaving when the energy is off is important, because when you hear that no, what your body is telling you, what goddess is telling you, what your womb is telling you, what this frequency is telling you is that you are not safe here. You are not valued here. This is not the correct environment for you. And this could be a lot of different things. This could be being on a date and a guy says something that you find very, very disrespectful or completely incongruent with what you know you deserve, and yet you continue to go on dates with him. Or maybe you are working a job where you're not getting paid what it is that you deserve, and you're being mistreated, or the work environment is hostile, or you ask for a raise and then you're denied the raise even though you are someone who is given all of the responsibilities. Everybody's constantly leaning on you to give your energy to different projects. Maybe you are living with a roommate where they're not respecting the boundaries of your space. They're coming into your room when you're not there, or they're eating your food out of the refrigerator. I mean, I could name 101 examples, plus another 101 examples of what this looks like. But the most important thing is noticing when the energy feels off. Asking yourself the question, am I being valued in this interaction? Am I being valued in this circumstance? Am I being valued in this job? Am I being treated with respect? Does this person, even if it's not about am I feeling respected? Am I feeling valued? You can just have a sense that something is off that you can't even explain. You don't have to have a clear, concrete explanation or understanding of why the energy is off. The most important thing is that you're recognizing that the energy does not feel congruent with your system. Your body is responding to the stimuli of your environment, and your body is saying no. It's sending your nervous system into a fight or flight response or a fawn response, or you're just getting like a chill up your spine. I mean, this could be something as simple as, you pull into a grocery store and you find a parking spot and you look right in front of you and there's, somebody parked in a car and they just their energy just feels off. And listening to that means, actually, I'm not going to park in this spot because I don't know if this person's going to be waiting for me when I come back. So I'm going to pull out of this spot and I'm going to go and I'm going to park somewhere that feels safer to me, so where my nervous system is relaxing and the internal alarm bells that I have are not going off. So whatever the case is, no matter what the circumstance, if the energy is off, removing yourself from that energy, removing yourself from that space, knowing that this is not correct. An example that I saw that kind of lines up with this is I was watching a video on TikTok and I was I was just like, girl, what are you doing? Because she was like, guys, like, is dating supposed to be this hard? And I knew she was going to go into this whole story where she was going to name all of the ways in which she ignored her intuition. But I was like, I'm gonna let her cook. I'm gonna listen to what she has to say. And she was talking about how she had been talking with this guy via text, and he had asked her when she was available, when she was free for a date. And she said, I'm free on Saturday. And he said, oh, okay, lucky me. And then she didn't hear from him. And then the next day, she reached out to him and said, hey, so what's going on? Like, are we going to go on this date? Like, I told you I'm free. What's happening? And then it started this whole rigmarole back and forth where he didn't respond for a full day. And then he came back and was like, well, do you want to go and watch a football game? And she's like, well, that doesn't really feel like a date. And, but maybe I can do that. Well, what time are you thinking? And then she didn't hear from him. And then another day passed. And then it's Saturday afternoon, which, she said she was free all day on Saturday, but he hadn't made any plans. He hadn't, reached out to her and said, hey, I'm taking you to this place. This is the time I'm picking you up. Be ready. This is what we're going to do. She was still trying to get confirmation from him that they were going on a date when he had already essentially communicated to her through his lack of communication that he wasn't serious about her. Where she went wrong was reaching out to him the day after she told him when she was free. That was when the energy was off. That moment of, well, I haven't heard from him. What's going on? That's when the energy is off. Like, that was the moment when she felt an incongruence, and yet she still barreled forward anyway, ignoring the intuition of her body because there's a part of her that is still seeking male validation or really wants to go on a date because she has a fear of being single or whatever the case is. I don't know this woman. I'm only going off of, the little bit that I got to see in a 5-minute video on TikTok. But I knew watching that video, as soon as she said she texted him the next day after not having heard from him, I was like, girl, you've already gone overboard. You've already ignored your body, because not hearing from someone and feeling like, oh, this doesn't feel right, that is your sign to remove yourself from that circumstance. And so women are constantly second guessing themselves, or they're constantly trying to do the work for the other person because they have a fear of rejection, or they have a fear of being lonely, a fear of feeling let down, whatever the case is. And then they are, days later, like this woman in the video, feeling confused and like, why is dating so hard? And it's like, dating isn't really that hard if you're actually listening to yourself, listening to your body, and recognizing when there is a misalignment in how you are being treated and how you are being valued. So honoring your no and leaving when the energy is off are the first 2 points of embodying that dark feminine energy. The next example would be not softening your truth or your honesty in order to manage other people's reactions to what it is that you are saying. This is a huge one because a lot of women, especially if you are a people pleaser or a recovering people pleaser, if you have been in the frequency of constantly overgiving, if you are the good girl, so much of your perception of yourself is based on how other people respond to you. And so women who are in that energy, women who are in that frequency are going to have a much harder time saying what's truthful. They're going to have a much harder time being honest. And that unwillingness to be honest, that unwillingness to say what is true for you is how you end up spending years of your life in cycles of people pleasing and overgiving and feeling depleted of your energy and feeling depleted of your life force because you are more concerned with how someone else is going to respond to you than you are concerned with how you are feeling and being truthful about how you are feeling. So an example of this could be something like, I've worked with a lot of women who, maybe do well financially, and they end up being someone that people in their family or people that are close to them will always come to them to receive money. They're always asking for money. And it's not a matter of whether or not you can afford to loan money out or give money away. It's about whether or not it is comfortable for you, or whether you're feeling like there is reciprocity in the relationship. And in a lot of these examples, there's no reciprocity. And the women are too afraid of honestly saying, I don't feel comfortable giving this money because in the past, when I've loaned you money, you've never paid me back. They are more concerned with this person being mad at them, or taking away their affection, or taking away their love, because everything that I'm talking about comes back to childhood conditioning. It comes back to, in order for me to receive love, I have to constantly give. Or in order for me to receive love, I can't tell the truth about how I'm feeling because somebody else's truth is more important than my truth. So being honest about how you're feeling and speaking truthfully about that without trying to manage how somebody else is going to respond to your truth is, again, another pillar of really honoring, anchoring into, and embodying that dark feminine energy. A couple of the other things that I'm going to be talking about in this video are going to also sort of loop in and tie into, what it is that I'm sharing about your truth and your honesty. But that's the thing about the dark feminine, is that she's not a liar. She's not a liar, and she's not afraid to be honest. She's not afraid to tell the truth, because being honest and truthful is loving. Being honest and truthful is kind. And that is the core of the feminine, of the mother, is that she is so loving and she is so kind. And when you're lying to yourself and when you're lying to other people because you're afraid of how they're going to respond, you're not actually moving from a place of love. You're not moving from a place of kindness. You're moving from a place of performance. You're playing nice. And nice is a performance. It is a behavior or a survival mechanism or a survival response, a fawn response that a lot of women take on in order to feel like they're protecting themselves. But you're not protecting yourself by performing. You are actually further harming yourself and distorting yourself and moving further away from your internal locus of truth. And so telling the truth and not being afraid of how people are going to respond, or trying to manage how they're going to respond because you think that they might be mad at you, or you think that they might respond negatively to you, you are doing yourself a disservice, and you are operating from the shadow of the feminine and not from the embodied dark feminine frequency. And so this ties into the next piece, is letting people be disappointed. Let people be disappointed. Let people be mad. Let people be frustrated. Let people feel their feelings without you taking their feelings and their reactions personally. And this, again, it's for my people pleasers, for my overgivers who are afraid of letting other people down, because, and empaths, especially empaths, are notorious for this, because you're so attuned to other people's emotions. And that's a beautiful thing, to have this really beautiful spiritual and energetic sensitivity. But the energetic sensitivity that you have towards others is not so that you can manage how they feel. Perhaps your role is to help show them, through you holding your frequency, that their experiences, their reactions, their emotions, their feelings actually belong to them. But when you are taking on and making yourself responsible for how other people feel in response to you honoring yourself and standing up for yourself, you are self-abandoning. You are doing yourself a disservice. You are moving away from your soul's mission. You are moving out of congruence with yourself and what is aligned for you. And you are taking or allowing somebody else's experience to have priority over your own. And this is how you feel siphoned. This is, or why you feel siphoned. This is why you feel drained. This is how you end up in long-term relationships, whether it's romantic relationships or relationships with friends, relationships with family, where you wake up one day and you don't even know who you are. You don't even know how you really feel about yourself. You don't know how you truly feel about your life, your circumstances. You don't feel connected to your dreams. You don't feel connected to the vision that you had. You don't even remember what you used to dream about when you were a child, because for so long you've been more concerned with how other people are going to feel based on how you show up in your own life, your one short life that you have in this body and in this vessel. So to be in your divine feminine frequency, to embody, or the dark feminine, you have to be okay with pissing people off. You have to be okay with letting people be disappointed, speaking your truth. You know, a lot of you have so many incredible things to say. You have so much wisdom and knowledge and insight that's meant to be shared with the world, but you're hiding on social media. You don't want to be seen because you're afraid of how somebody else is going to receive what it is that you have to say. You're afraid that you're going to be rejected. You're afraid that someone's going to be mad at you, or they're going to say something mean to you. They're going to leave a mean comment, or any of the other things that people do. I would not be able to do the work that I do. I would not be able to sit on Instagram, on my Substack, on YouTube, and talk about these things if I was concerned about pissing people off. I have a video called "You're Gonna Die Alone" in quotes, and it's basically talking about the projections that men project onto women, all of the things that men say to women in order to scare them into compliance with male desires. And when I posted that video, I knew that that video was going to upset some people, specifically men. And I ended up getting comments from men that were really unkind, and some of them were disgusting. And I had no problem going in and deleting comments and being like, you know what? You're blocked now. You're not going to ever see me again. If you don't like my content, let me do you a favor and remove you from my channel. But if I was afraid of those responses, if I was afraid of disappointing men or or making men upset, then I wouldn't be able to talk about the things that I talk about on my platforms. I have a video that has done really well on my Instagram where I talked about boy moms. You know, because as I'm talking about the things that men do to women and the things that women allow men to do to them that steal our energy and siphon our energy and how we self-abandon ourselves, I was dealing with a lot of women coming into my comments and being like, well, not all men, and like, I have sons, and all of these things that women are saying. And I'm like, listen, you're not my audience. You're not my audience, because I'm going to talk about these things, and I'm going to talk about these things in a way that is authentic to my voice and my expression. I made it, the very first thing that I said in that video was, I do not teach love and light femininity. And that right there is going to eliminate a whole slew of people from my field. That's going to let people know who are from that frequency where everything is love and light, and the divine feminine and the divine masculine are equal, and there's not all men, but not my son, and all of the things that, you know, these women like to say. You're not my people. I'm okay with making you upset. I'm okay with making you feel disappointed. And I've had people say that to me, like, I followed you for so long and I'm really disappointed that you said this. I don't care. I don't care that you're disappointed. Go somewhere else if you're disappointed, or sit in your disappointment, and maybe that disappointment is an opportunity for you to reflect on your own shadows. Maybe the disappointment that you feel is a mirror for yourself. But it's not my job to placate your feelings or your sense of disappointment. I'm going to speak truthfully and honestly about what it is that I have to say, and I'm not going to be concerned about how other people feel about it, because my people are going to find me, and the people who are my people, who are in my fractal, who need my specific flavor of medicine, are going to love what I have to say, and they're going to love the way that I say it. They're going to love my tone. They're going to love my passion, my fiery energy. I'm an Aries. I'm a projector. This is who I am. And so being afraid to disappoint people is going to be key for you in embodying the dark feminine energy. And then finally, the last piece that I'm going to give you, and again, I could do so many other examples of how to embody the dark feminine frequency, but for this video, I'm sticking with 5. And so the 5th one is choosing rest over proving yourself. This is another a big one. And this they all tie hand in hand with the people pleasing and the overgiving and the not speaking your truth and all of the things, is that you're allowed to rest. And not only are you allowed to rest, resting is your birthright. Resting is your birthright. There's this concept that I've heard over the last few years that I don't agree with, where women will talk about rest as a form of resistance. And I don't like talking about rest as a form of resistance, because I don't believe in living life in resistance, because energetically speaking, the thing that you resist is what persists. And so I'm not trying to resist a system. I look at rest as something that I am owed. Like it is my birthright to rest. And not only is it my birthright to rest, resting is how I'm able to manifest. Resting is how I am able to replenish myself and restore myself. Resting is when I get my best downloads, when I'm meditating or when I'm just listening to music while I'm taking a walk in the park, or when I'm zoning out, cooking a meal for myself, or when I'm self-pleasuring, or whatever it is that I'm doing that is a form of rest for me, that is essential to me being in my dark feminine energy. It is my birthright. It is the key to my magnetism. When you're in a state of proving how good you are or how worthy you are or how much you can output, this is how women burn out. This is how women develop autoimmune issues. This is how women, get sick or, develop illnesses where you're forced to rest, or you manifest experiences where you're forced to rest. I've known so many women who go, 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 and they never sit down. And then all of a sudden they get a lupus diagnosis or they get in a car accident. I literally know I have a friend who got into a really, really bad car accident that forced her into 3 months of bed rest and recovery. And sometimes it gets that extreme to where when you're not honoring what your body is asking for and craving and needing, the goddess, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever terminology is most familiar for you, will create an alignment where you will be forced to rest. You will be forced to sit down and just take a breather. Rest is non-negotiable to embody the dark feminine frequency, to whatever femininity you want to call it. Like, it's not just dark feminine, light feminine, any type of femininity. For you to embody that, you must rest. It is essential. We, and our cycles teach us this. We operate on a 28-day cycle. We have 4 different phases that our bodies go through every single month. And the phases of rest are built into your cycle. You have your luteal phase going into your menstrual phase, where you have lower energy, where your hormones shift, where you need more nourishment, where you're not meant to be doing high intensity workouts and high energy outputs. That's your body's way of letting you know, hey girl, we're going into our fall winter season, our internal fall winter season. It's time to rest. It's time to just replenish and restore ourselves. We see this outside of our bodies in the collective. It is January, at least in the northern hemisphere, because I know there are people all over the world who are having different seasons, but in the northern hemisphere, we're in the winter season. And so for so many of you, rest is what you are meant to be doing right now. And so if you are not resting because you feel like if I stop, I'm going to lose my momentum, or if I slow down, then I'm not going to get the things that I want, you're actually operating from a mentality of scarcity rather than a mentality of abundance. Because at the core of it, rest is telling you that even when you slow down, even when you stop and you do nothing, you can still create abundance for yourself. When I have an offer out, and when I'll wake up in the morning and I see notifications that people have booked sessions with me or signed up for my offers, I'm literally making money in my sleep. Like, I don't have to be doing things every single day. My last video that I put out was me talking about all of the things that I learned after posting every single day on YouTube, long form for 30 days in a row. And one of the things that I learned, one of my biggest takeaways for myself, is that while I was able to do it, it's not sustainable for me to post every single day with everything else that I have going on, knowing my body and knowing what my rest levels are and what I require for rest and replenishment. And so I decided to take myself off the hook and not need to commit to posting every single day. It was a goal that I set for myself to see if I could do it. I realized that I can do it. I'm proud of myself, but it isn't necessary for me, and I don't have anything to prove. I don't have anything to prove to anyone. So just to recap very quickly, the first core, or one of the first pillars of embodying the dark feminine, is learning how to say no. Then after that is, what is it? Oh yes, learning how to say no, leaving when the energy is off, not softening your truth to manage the reactions of other people around you, allowing people to be disappointed or feel however they feel about the way that you were showing up in your life without internalizing or taking their emotional responses personally, and choosing rest over proving. Those are the 5 core pillars of honoring and embodying dark feminine energy, the dark feminine frequency. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this video and receive this transmission. Let me know how this landed for you down in the comments below. Have you been enjoying my Dark Feminine series? Have you watched all the other videos before? Or is this your first introduction and you're about to go back and binge the other videos? If that's the case, the playlist is linked in the description box, and I'll also drop it in a comment in the comment section so that you can find that easily with the other videos. And then the next video that I'm going to be doing in this series is going to be talking about why men are terrified of the dark feminine, which I'm so excited to talk about that. It's going to be so much fun. But yeah, let me know how this landed for you. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any other video requests for the Dark Feminine series or any other types of video requests outside of my Dark Feminine series. And if you want to dive deeper into this work, if you want to work with me one-on-one or you want to work with me in a group setting, all of the links to how you can work with me are in the description box below. I offer womb alchemy sessions. I offer spiritual alignment sessions. I'm also currently teaching my selfish bitch initiation, and the selfish bitch is the embodiment of the dark feminine. She is the sovereign woman. And so we're in this initiation right now. We're doing it live, but it's not too late to join. Our next class is going to be on Wednesday, today's January 12th, Wednesday the 14th. The replays are available when you sign up. So all you have to do when you sign up is you will get instant access to the last 2 classes that we did. You also get free access to my Selfish Bitch Masterclass, and then you will be able to join us live on Wednesday, January 14th. And if you were watching this after January 2026, this course, this initiation is still available for purchase, and you will get all of the replays sent to you when you sign up for it. So that will be linked in the description box so that you can join us in the Selfish Bitch initiation. Because in that initiation, I take you from the good girl, the people pleaser, the overgiver into the sovereign woman that is the embodiment of the dark feminine frequency. So I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to leave a comment, and please go ahead and subscribe. You know you want to subscribe because these videos are the shit, and I love making them for you, and I have so much more that I want to teach you. I'm here for you. I love you. Have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you on the next video.